So Mike Sando of The Athletic has published the list for 2023 NFL quarterback tiers. There is commentary from 50 NFL coaches and executives granted anonymity to share unvarnished evaluations. 50 league insiders place 30 veteran quarterbacks into tiers, 8 general managers, 10 head coaches, 15 coordinators, 10 executives, 4 quarterbacks coaches, and 3 involved in coaching and analytics. All right, tier 1 of quarterbacks. The one of ones is Patrick Mahomes, unanimous tier 1 choice for the third time in the past 4 seasons. Top tier recognition on 199 of 200 ballots over that time, best in the league. That's no surprise. Number 2 in tier 1 is Joe Burrow. Number 3 in the first tier is Josh Allen. Number 4, a little bit surprisingly to me, remains Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not that surprised.
Aaron Rodgers he's fallen from the unanimous and near unanimous tier 1 ranks, but Tom Brady experienced an even more extreme downgrade when he moved from New England to Tampa Bay. Next up, and the last name in tier 1, any guesses?
It's not Russ anymore.
Oh, no.
Trevor Lawrence?
Nope, it's Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is rated 5th, the last in tier 1. The definition of tier 1, by the way, just so you know, a tier 1 quarterback can carry his team each week. The team wins because of him. He expertly handles pure passing situations. He has no real holes in his game.
Show me where that's true with Justin Herbert.
I would quibble on that as well. Tier 2 is defined as a quarterback who can carry his team sometimes, but not as consistently. He can handle pure passing situations in doses and or possesses other dimensions that are special enough to elevate him above tier 3. He has a hole or two in his game. This tier has, starting at number 6, Jalen Hurts.
Should probably be tier 1.
Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Deshaun Watson, and Kirk Cousins.
I mean, based on what we saw last year, I don't know how you can put Deshaun Watson on that.
I don't either.
I mean, are we only going, it seems as if we're talking about like full bodies of work here, not what happened inside the 2022 season.
Tier 3.
Because there's no way Deshaun Watson should be on that tier.
Tier 3. A tier 3 quarterback is a legitimate starter, but needs a heavier running game and or defensive component to win. A lower volume drop back passing offense suits him best. At the top of tier 3, 13th overall, is Kyler Murray.
Okay.
After that, Derek Carr, Jared Goff, Russell Wilson is number 16. We're in the bottom half of quarterbacks now. Starting quarterbacks.
That's funny how, like, Russ went all the way down to tier 3, but Deshaun Watson is tier 2?
Number 17, Tua Tagovailoa. Number 18, Jimmy Garoppolo. Number 19, Daniel Jones. We now are at the last quarterback in the top 2/3. We're entering the bottom third of quarterbacks after this. Number 20 overall, Geno Smith. Number 21, Justin Fields. Here's the scouting report. Fields climbed into tier 3 on the strength of his rushing. He'll climb higher in the future if his passing improves. Hurts' success in Philadelphia brightened the outlook for Fields among some voters. As a runner, he's a 1, an offensive coordinator said. As a player, he's been inconsistent. But it would not shock me if we're having this conversation next year and he's a high 2. For now, the hype does not equal the ranking.
Okay, so I'm confused. If we're using 2022 as a referendum on Fields, which I totally understand, why are we not using it on? I have a real problem with that. I have a real problem with considering the body of work of Russell Wilson, with him having a disastrous year last year, him being dropped down to tier 3. But Deshaun Watson, like, he was awful last year when he came back and played.
Says, while Hurts has benefited from an elite supporting cast in Philadelphia, Fields has been in an unusually bad situation. The Bears are just now providing him with a baseline level of support. Philly's also been much better on defense, stabilizing the situation for Hurts. I think Fields has a chance, a defensive coordinator said. He has a skill set to do it. And then in that division, he has a chance to shine a little bit this year. I'm not giving up on that kid because of the skill set he does have. When you have those legs, if you can fit the right offense around him and give him some skill players, then we'll see. The hope for Fields is that he can become a functional passer. They changed their offense to pretty much make him a runner, an exec said. The accuracy and anticipation from the pocket, I just don't see it being there. That was the big issue for him coming out. We'll see what he looks like with more weapons, but those are two flaws I'm just not sure he overcomes.
I'm totally okay with the talent evaluator looking at Justin Fields and saying, I need to see it. Because I think we're all kind of in the place of, let's see it. Like, we saw some spectacular plays, like even in the passing game for Fields last year, like some really good throws. If you look at some of the touchdown throws,
and some end of game throws through guys' hands.
Yeah, a lot
all year. All year.
It's in there, but I understand needing to see it. Like, that's an important thing.
All right, Ryan Tannehill, 22, Mac Jones, 23, and then into Tier 4, which is defined as an unproven player, not enough information for voters to classify, or a veteran who ideally would not start all 17 games.
Kenny Pickett.
That group is Brock Purdy, Kenny Pickett, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, and Gardner Minshew.
That makes sense.
So Justin Fields barely above that bargain basement.
That's okay.
Last group.
Yeah, that's fine. He's got to prove it. He's still got to prove something through the air, unless he can continue to develop the way that Jalen Hurts is. What do they say about Jalen Hurts?
Well, let me tell you what they say about Deshaun Watson first.
Sure.
They say only Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, and Derek Carr suffered greater year-over-year drops than Watson suffered an average tier vote. A defensive coach said, I'll tell you what, when we played him, it was bad. It was real shaky. Only Mayfield and Joe Flacco ranked lower than Watson last season in EPA per pass play among 39 quarterbacks with at least 150 attempts. A DC said, everybody thinks, okay, his rust will wear off after a couple weeks. That guy hadn't played in, a year and some change? That's a hard thing. He was one of my ones last year. I would put him as a 2 with the probability that he'll be a 1 again. He said he has a skill set that could take him back to where he was or close to, but the game hasn't gotten slower. He's going to have to show he's able to do some of those things again.
What do they say about Jalen Hurts? Like, what's the argument to keep him tier 2 instead of being tier 1? Because I would argue that his playoff, had the Eagles won, he would have been Super Bowl MVP.
I can answer that. Hurts has yet to prove himself in 2-minute situations.
You can kiss my ass on that.
He said it's why I was so fascinated with the Super Bowl. If they don't call that pass interference, Kansas City kicks a field goal, then we find out once and for all Jalen Hurts in the 2-minute. Last time he was in one, and people forget this, they lost at home on Monday night. Washington didn't let him out of the tackle box, and Philly did not win that game.
That is some nonsense.
That's why they got him.
That is absolute nonsense.
You wanted it, you got it.
And so just to be clear, Jalen Hurts' numbers in the Super Bowl, 27 to 38, 304 yards, 103.4 passer rating, 70 carries, 70 yards on 15 carries, and 3 touchdowns. Hurts is the first player in NFL history with 300 pass yards, 70 rush yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns in a game. He finished, second in MVP last year? And he's tier 2.
I'm telling you what it says.
He's behind Justin Herbert, who can't get his team to the playoffs. Even though that's what tier 1 is supposedly, that's what a quarterback in tier 1 is supposed to do. You can see a lot of continued bias with NFL front office people all in that survey.
Because Herbert looks the part.
Herbert's fine. Like, he's a good player, but I'm still waiting. I'm waiting on him the same way that I'm waiting on Justin Fields. I know he can throw the ball, but I know that in big moments last year, Justin Herbert didn't come through at all. I saw Jalen Hurts come through time after time after time last year. And for the guy that was the runner-up for league MVP, and to play Patrick Mahomes basically to a draw last year in the Super Bowl, for him to be like, oh, well, we got to see it in 2-minute drills. Go bleep yourself.